In organic livestock farming, we choose the breed of the animal carefully. We want animals, cattle, chickens, pigs, goats, that are able to adapt to their local environment. This gives many benefits to both farmers and the farming environment. When I took over the farm in the 1980s, we had a severe drought for 3 years, and I took over a herd of Simmentaler Brahman crossbreeds. Big cattle, nice cattle, I enjoyed having them. But during that drought, I realized that they really struggled to survive because they were heavy, they were big. And in our area here, we've got mountains and very uneven areas, so they had to climb up the mountains to get the last grass. After the drought, I decided maybe to change my crossbreed, because I always believed in crossbreeding. Then I changed my crossbreeds to a South African breeding, which was the Bonsmara, and that already worked better. Our calving percentage also during the dry years were quite stable. But more and more I realized that also the Bonsmara is also quite a big animal. So it was for me, for our area here, it was also not the right type of cattle to farm with, because I think your breed is dependent on your management and on your land. And you must have an adapted animal which really fits to your management, to your people, to yourself, and to the land and to the environment. So these cattle we see in the background now, our dairy cattle, sometimes the people ask me, what sort of breed have you got there? And what I do say is, it's a Krumhuk breed. It's not a registered breed, it's our Krumhuk breed, because we selected our cattle in a way that they fit into what we are doing here. We brought in the more Nguni type. Of course, in the beginning it was a crossbreed between Nguni and Bonsmara. We also still had a little bit of Brahman Simmentaler blood in. I found out that the Nguni cattle are cattle from Africa, coming actually from North Africa over I don't know how many 100 years. And they came down to Southern Africa, and that these cattle are really adapted African cattle. And then I thought, that's really what we need here. In the drought years and the dry years, we need our cattle to really climb up these mountains which we've got here. My aim was to really produce food and produce for the consumer in a very responsible way, I would say, so that we really try to have a food which is clean and good, and not so much the maximum profit. From the distance they look like Nguni, or they are Nguni, but as I said, the name of the breed is, for me, it was never important. For me it was, as I said, the Krumhuk breed, because it must be a breed which fits to our management, to the people, to the environment, to the landscape, everything. And the fodder consumption for these adapted cattle, in the dry years, there is always limited fodder. And my experience was that these cattle could really adapt very nice to the limited fodder which was there. The cattle have to adapt to ticks as well. If there are ticks on an animal, the animal has to cope on itself with it. And that was also, we never used any vitamins like these. I remember when I started farming, we used vitamin A or ADE or something. I never used that again. So we never had any of these supplements. Our goal was to have really healthy food, and with the lick you give, you don't really know what is in the lick. So we decided these cattle have to adapt to our area here, and we are quite lucky in this area. We've got a lot of minerals, different minerals here in our soil, And so I was convinced that many of these minerals are also existent in the grass. So all these minerals which you actually buy in if you buy a lick was not necessary. And we survived very nice with that. So the only lick we gave was actually salt and bentonite, that is a stone meal which comes from a grounded stone, which comes from South Africa. It's just to help them digest a little bit better when it's very dry, or digest also better if the fodder is very green. But that's how we try to really get our cattle adapted. And of course, we've got these diseases we have to vaccinate our cattle. And I compare that with the game. If I see our game here on the farm with kudu, oryx, springbok, zebra, they are fat and they get their calves and they don't get any lick, and it's an adapted breed which is running here on the farm. And that was always an example for me, that if the game survives like that, we should actually also breed cattle or whatever, which can also adapt to our circumstances here. In the pursuit of organic agriculture, the importance of adapted breeds cannot be overstated. They embody resilience, efficiency, and a deep connection to the land.